This video today will be looking at the difficulties with translating the Bible into modern English from Biblical Hebrew. There are certainly many translations of the Bible. It is, after all, the world's most translated book. However, with English translations, there is often a tendency to sound rather clunky and not use language which sounds like day-to-day speech. One of these features, which is perhaps the most prominent, is the fact that many sentences and other clauses will unusually, for English standards, begin with "and." If you don't know what I mean, here's an example from some of the first lines in Robert Alter's translation of Genesis, originally in Hebrew. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light dark, and the darkness he called night. And it was evening, and it was morning, first day. And God said, "Let there be a vault in the midst of the waters, and let it divide water from water." And God made the vault, and it divided the water beneath the vault from the water above the vault, and so it was. And God called the vault heavens. As you can see here in one of countless biblical translations, "and" is at the beginning of almost every sentence, and indeed many other clauses too. This not only breaks with the way that children are taught to write without beginning a sentence with a conjunction like "but" or "and," but it also sounds fairly unnatural even to adults. Indeed, even in children's literature, which tends to be much simpler than adult literature and doesn't contain many subordinate clauses and other things like this, there does not feature this same use of conjunctions at the beginning of sentences. There may be theological explanations to why this would be, including the idea that there is a distorted sense of time for the divine. Nevertheless, this is not only beyond the scope of this video and indeed this channel, but also the answer can be found much more simply by looking just at the syntax. This is not necessarily an issue of theology, but an issue of translation. In Biblical Hebrew, the language of Genesis, any sentence that is not a direct quotation will have, at the beginning, what is called an overt complementizer. And a complementizer is just a nearly meaningless word used to differentiate clauses which may even be able to stand on their own. For instance, in English, that in "he believes that it is raining" is a complementizer. The only difference is that in Hebrew these are more common, and they translate to what would be approximately "and" rather than "to" or "that" like in English. This next example from Hebrew will be using the International Phonetic Alphabet instead of the Hebrew alphabet, just for simplicity. Without getting into the specifics about the way in which Biblical Hebrew syntax differs from English, you just need to notice that the sentence which is translated as "and Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law," from Exodus, the "u" in "u Moshe" is translated as "and," but you'll see is not necessary in the sentence and could otherwise just be translated as "Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law." There are more overt complementizers than this in Hebrew, including "we" and "wat," but this should give you an idea about why there are so many "ands" at the beginning of sentences in translations of the Bible into English. This also is something which you can see happening in the New Testament, and this is because these same types of overt complementizers exist also in Greek, though in a slightly different way, and you can read more about this in a post from WordFacts in the link in the description. I will end this video on a few notes. Modern Hebrew does not have these same overt complementizers at the beginning of their sentences, and compared to Biblical Hebrew, it resembles, syntactically, Indo-European languages far more. Also, many translations of the Bible now will opt for more normal-sounding language, which is better English, however, will make, perhaps, the information in this video sound obsolete one day. Until then, however, please check out the Patreon so you can support this channel and get more content, including word theories and a podcast. You can also check out the daily blog on Facebook and Blogspot, and I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to this channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.